All right, what we have here is my brother's 2011 Ford Focus, and it needs a new air conditioning system in it. Hoses are leaking. The compressor has oil coming out from around the ring. Where's my flash? What? Huh? Let me guess, you're gonna walk right through that litter, huh? Make a mess, aren't you? You're gonna try. What? Yeah, see? What? Good morning. You're all wet. So the oil is leaking around the pulley on the air compressor. Or no, that's not it. It's over there. My bad. There it is, right there. And hoses are leaking. And while we're at it, he went ahead and got a new radiator. Which, yeah, that's it right there. So basically a whole new air conditioning system. We got the hoses. There's the new compressor. And that should be the new radiator. So, first thing you gotta do is there is a serpentine belt on here. This one, we took it off already. We cut it because we're gonna put a new serpentine on it while we're in here. And it's one of those stretch belts. So if you're gonna try and save it, what you have to do is you put a wrench and a socket, or a ratchet and a socket on the bolt, and you take a screwdriver and you get it situated just right, and you can work that belt off there like that. It really isn't that hard, and that's the same way to put it back on also. So you don't have to use that special stretch belt tool or whatever it is. I don't even know what it's called. I hate them. Stretch belts are stupid. So let's see here. The first thing we got to do, looks like there's a nut right there holding this clamp for that hose. And we got 1, 2, and there's a third bolt up on top of the compressor that you have to get. And those are the 3 bolts holding it on there. Let me get some tools. I'm sure that's a 10 millimeter and that's probably a 12. Anyway, let me get some tools and we'll see. All right, so we're gonna take this little bracket off here, and that is a 10 millimeter. Trying to get this so I can show you guys. Hard to get light in there. But there's the nut. Finish taking the nut off. And this plastic holder just slipped right off there. And I'm one of those guys, I put my nuts back if I can. Nuts and bolts back where I can, that way you don't lose them. Alright, I was wrong, it's not a 12, these are 13 mil. And that one is up on top of this. So that's gonna make it a little more fun to get to. I'm gonna have to get a socket for that. So 10 mil and 13 mil. 1, 2, and then the third one, you can see it, is up there. Let me get all these broke loose. All right, let's see, we got the first one out. And there's the second one. What I ended up doing here is I pushed the wire clip up off this bracket and was able to get a socket on it then. There's the second radiator hose in the way, of course. All right, there's number 2 with the wire harness bracket on it. That goes there. And then the third one, it's up there on top. Is that the right? Yeah, I think that was the right one. I hope it's the right one. Come out of there. That radiator hose is kind of in the way. There we go. All right. Because I think I'm going to end up having to take that radiator out anyway to replace the air conditioner radiator. Anyway, you always keep your bolts. You know, I got left, right, and top and bottom. That way I won't mix them up when I go to put this back together. Let's see here. We got a wiring clip right there on the air conditioner. Okay, what you have to do here on this wiring piece You take the screwdriver, you pop it under there, and you pull on it. Hold on. And it will come off there. I know that wasn't a very good way of showing you, but there's a tab right there, and you got to push it out towards the outside, or other words, down when it's on the compressor, and then wiggle the wire, and it will come off there. So I think that's it on that part. Okay, well, it didn't move. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It'll probably be stuck on there pretty well if this is your first time to remove it. Wiggle it around. Come on, there we go. Okay. All right. Oh, it's got a little guide pin on this one. Oh, it's got a guide pin up on the top one too. See, it got a guide pin there and a guide pin there. Oh, that's nice. So now, gotta figure out. I gotta get these the lines disconnected. Okay. So what I was able to do is I used a 13 mil deep well. Was able to come in through here between this hose, the radiator hose, and this is a oil line, and get it onto that bolt right there that holds this line in, and I'll be able to break it loose. Now remember, you're gonna have, if this wasn't leaking already, you're gonna have pressure in there, so when you hear it start to leak, you need to back away and not breathe this stuff in and let it drain off. And once it quits draining, then you can keep taking it off. So the 13 mil from this side, and I haven't figured out how to get on that other one yet. If you have the time and the resources, and you can, if you take the radiator hose off and push it up out of your way, this will be a lot easier, which is what I think I'm gonna end up doing, because I gotta take the radiator out anyway to replace the air conditioner radiator. All right, so that was there was a nut on a stud that's on there, and that's what came off. All right, there's that one. It's gonna have a gas. It's gonna have a gasket on it right there. So let's see if we can move that away. Wham it up underneath there. Yeah. Okay, now, ooh, that gave me more room. Now we got to break the. See if you can see that. There's another nut on the other line. There's two lines. So let me get that off there. All right, I got that other line busted loose, and all right, came off there. Oh. Okay, I see what's going on. The new one just has a plate right here. We're gonna have to take this plate off and put it onto the new one. I did not know we were gonna have to do that, but that's okay. We can deal with it. Ah, that's some bitch heavy. I don't know if you can see it, but there's oil leaking around that ring right there in that crack. That's why we're doing all this. I need to get this radiator out of here. Oh, that's a whole nother project. There's the wires to the fan shroud. Okay, let me see what I'm gonna do next. All right, so I'm draining the radiator. What I had to do is pull the lower radiator hose off. And some of it drained out, but it wasn't draining very much. I came up here and unhooked the upper radiator hose, and it relieved the vacuum on it, and the rest of it's draining out now. Used a clean container, so hopefully I can reuse that stuff. What I'm gonna try and do here is, I'm not sure how this is held in here. It almost looks like this is an encasement around the radiators and the fan. I'm gonna try and take everything out through the bottom, but I don't know. I think I have to get this off of here, because the radiator, this sits on top of the radiator, and the radiator sits down into the bottom. And it doesn't look like this is gonna be a lot of fun. to get out of here. We'll just have to see. There's like a lot of pieces. So we're gonna try. Anyway, the fan, you just pull up in these tabs and you can pull the top out, then you lift it up and it should go back down. And there's also, try to show you this. There is that's your power wire for the fan. So you want to make sure and hook that. And it's also got a wiring harness clip right there that you'll have to pop off. Actually, it's got two of them. One there and then one there. And then hopefully I can just push the fan up and pull it out through the bottom. All right, so I was working on getting the radiator out of here and from up top, and this is the weirdest design I've ever seen. It's like this radiator and the air conditioner radiator behind it are encased in a plastic box. And it looks like they want you to take the whole damn thing out of there. I decided to cheat a little bit and I used a pry bar. This is the bushing that was in the hole right there. And I just used a pry bar and I pried it up and was able to wiggle it out on both sides. Now it's got these two tabs that were hooked onto the air conditioner radiator also, which is right there. So I got those two out. I've got the upper and lower radiator hose off there. I want to try. I think it should. Oh, that just fell in the coolant. See if I can get this to come down. What is? Okay, something's still attached. Up there. Let me work on this to try to get that out. I got the bottom loose. We just got to get it to come down now. Okay, what I ended up doing is I pushed up on it and pulled forward. It's got these little tabs right there, one on both sides, on the top of the radiator, which is stuff like that. And what those did is they hooked on top of the air conditioning cooler. So you're able to get it out through the bottom. That wasn't too bad. A little bit of prying and stuff, and it came out. I'm not going to complain about that. Now I've got to, I'm not replacing the radiator, but he had to take the radiator out because there's a line right there for the air conditioner I got to take off. And I can't, I think there's one on the top that I got to take off also. So let me, I think that's loose. Oh yeah, that's definitely loose in there now. So let me get this nut off of here and we'll get the top nut off of there and that should come on out. Okay, so I took the nut off the line on top and I got it broke loose. I took the nut off the bottom one here, it's loose, and I forgot about this sensor. You gotta pull this tab up and you can wiggle it. I've already broke it loose. You push this tab up like that and then you can get the plug to come off there. And let's get this line off of here. Come on. You know you want to. There we go. Okay. That line come off. And this should, this is in my way. There's a bar here. I broke that loose earlier, but I didn't think I needed to remove it, but I do. It's like a bracing that goes all the way up, and there's a third bolt over here. Hopefully I just have to loosen this one, and I can, or take this one bolt out, and I'll be able to move it out of the way. God, it's hard to hold a camera and do all this. Ooh. Let's see here. There we go. Come on. Come on down. hang on a second here. What are you caught on? Radiator line, that's what it was. Okay. Ah, the magnet's good on this mount. So that's what it caught on a radiator hose up there. And I was like, there we go. See, I just took that one bolt out of there and was able to bend that out of the way. Whew. God, does it really have to be this difficult? So, all right. I don't think this was leaking. He just wanted to go ahead and replace it. Just because, I mean, it's pretty damaged from, it's the, you know, gets all the bugs and rocks and stuff into it. So it ain't gonna hurt it to replace it. Whew, man, that was fun. Now you can see the big cavity that's left. Hopefully I can get this all to go back together the way it's supposed to. How would you get that out? I think this is the only way to do it. I think you have to take out through the bottom. I don't think you can take the top apart. I think I did it the right way. Imagine that. This. I shoved it over there. I'm just gonna take that down through the bottom, actually. I think. Don't just pull on it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's one of the lines I'm replacing. I'll have to take this plastic clip off of here and put it on the new one. Which one is that? That is this one. Yeah. Now you got another line. It's this upper one right here. So to replace it, we just gotta take that one loose. It's another, all these have been 13 millimeter. I'm gonna set my wrench, there it is. Oh, look, I'm bleeding. Big shocker there. I don't think I've ever worked on a car and not ended up bleeding before it was all said and done. So, all right, there's the other hose we're replacing. Okay, so what we're gonna have to do, I'm assuming that's a pressure sensor or something. We need to take it and switch it over to this one. And they have a wire protector on these. So we'll go ahead and switch those over too. And start putting it back together. See, made in China. All right, so I was gonna start putting this together and I realized that there was no way I could get all this to line up in there without being able to access it. So I went ahead and put this back together. Put the condenser back together with the radiator. It's all put together the way it's supposed to. I'm gonna see if I can get this all back up in there as one unit. Because I think that was actually, I don't know, if you're gonna change the radiator out, I guess you could do it. You'd have to take the radiator out by itself because you wouldn't want to lose all your pressure and air conditioning. I don't know, maybe I just got lucky and able to do this. We'll see, we'll try it. I'm gonna try and put this in as one unit. If it doesn't work, we'll take it back apart and put it in one by one and see what happens. Okay, I was able to get this up in there with the two radiators put together. It wasn't too hard. This bracket right here, this brace, I did have to bend it up out of the way and slide it up behind there and that, and then just use your pry bar or screwdriver or whatever you got to pry the plastic down and get your rubber grommets to go back into the holes where they're supposed to. And up top, you need to pay attention to the holes up there. Show you. There's these covers that are in here. Let me try to show you this the right way. And what they do is they slide in there like that. So you see a screwdriver there and pop them out, and they slide out and come off. And there's your upper radiator mount holes. Now these rubber grommets come out, and you can adjust your radiator with your hands, push it back in there. Might have to use a screwdriver to get it in, but that's all it takes is that rubber grommet being put back in the upper part, and put your covers back in. There's one there and one over here. This one was kind of a pain in the butt. It had to go down underneath this front clip here to get it out. And yeah, now we'll get all the hoses hooked back up. Actually, before we hook all the hoses up and everything, we need to get the fan back in there. Here, we'll get the bottom in, and then you slide the top over. I'll show you. You can see I got it slid down into the tabs on the bottom of the radiator. I'm gonna need both hands. Everything has to fit together just right. There's actually a hole inside here with a square part on the fan that slides into it, and then the clip that moves up and down clips down onto it. Gotta do that on both sides. We got the upper radiator hose. Bam. Go down, hook the wire up for the fan, and put that bracket back on there on the bottom. And then we'll put the new compressor in. Okay, I got the pressure sensor hooked back up. What I didn't realize until now is that I need the studs out of the older radiator, which is these. And I need to take them out of this one and put it into the new one. And use these, what are they called? E-socket. And it's a star that fits on there. So I need to take this one off of here, and I gotta take the one off the top and put it in also. And then once I do that, I can install that lower line and put the upper line in. And then maybe I'll be ready to put the compressor back on. I had also, this is the original line that I'm not replacing here. There was an O-ring there, it's that one. In that big old bag of them, I found one the same size, so I went ahead and replaced it too. And now I can put this all back together. I just put that stud in there and I tightened it down all the way, and it made it too short to get the nut on for the line. So I backed it back off a few turns. Just so you know, these probably aren't gonna go in. These studs that you had to switch over probably aren't supposed to go in all the way. You just have to make a guess on where it's supposed to be. And hopefully you got it in the right place. If not, just loosen it back up until you got enough thread showing to be able to put the nut on to hold the line in. See, there we go, that's much better. I barely had that sticking through there. So just so you know, the studs probably won't have to go all the way in. This is that top stud. They were screwed all the way in on these, but I can't screw it all the way in on the new one. They're too short. Which is not a bad thing. Once you tighten the nut down on there, it clamps it all together, so you should be fine. And, oh, I need to take that cap off of there. I think that was a 14. Wasn't it? I'm not putting anti-seize or anything on it. There shouldn't be any need for that. don't know, we'll try tightening it down all the way, and if it's too short, then I'll back it back off there. There's a rubber cap. And the new hose is this one. Let's get in there. Take it off. Pull this cover off of it, and it already has the new O-ring on it, which is nice. Got spare parts. We'll leave that on there for now to keep dirt and stuff from getting in it. Did that have... It did, it had this. And the O-ring. This one didn't come with that part, so... I think these are all the... They're all the same? Was that going on there like that? I was looking at the wrong side. It did not come with one on that side, so it's not supposed to have one. That's a lot of spare parts. I love spare parts. Go to my collection. So that's it on the top, and it goes in like this. Oops. Forgot to get that rubber piece off there. The rubber cap over the hole. Ah! What a pain in the butt. Tiny screwdriver might help. There we go. Just a little rubber cap. Put that over here too. Now, just take it, set it over the stud, make sure it's square. There we go. You push it down in the hole, grab your nut, and so that was a 13 millimeter. And you want them pretty tight. I mean, a lot of pressure in these. Ooh, I got these two hands here. Hold that. That turned on me. That was weird. I think I bent the aluminum just a little bit. So what you gotta do is hold this side with your hand while you're tightening down that side. I think I bent the actual, just the bracket that is mounted to the radiator. No big deal, nothing damaged. But hold this with one hand while you're tightening the nut with the other, just to be safe. I love new hoses. They're so nice. Okay, so this is the top, because it has the port on it. Take the cap off. It's already got the O-ring on it. We're good to go. So this has got to go down in that hole too, like that. Get over here. Slide that on there. I have put my nut up there. Alright, they look the same to me except for a couple of little changes on it, but for the most part it all is the same. So we're gonna take this off here and see. Oh, it's a O-ring gasket. It didn't come with a new one. Well, let's see. Well, let's see if the new one has one on it. Hey, it did. There's a new gasket in there. Come on out of there. I'm trying to get it out without tearing. There we go. All right. One side is bigger than the other, so hopefully you can't mess that up. Where is it? There it is. Get this old one out of here. Come out. There we go. Take the new one. Put it in there like that. I'm gonna get this cleaned up a little bit and then we'll put it back on there. All right, I got that all wiped up. Never get it all perfectly clean. Good enough for this though. So I got the new gasket in there. You want them pretty tight. Yeah, okay. All right. Now, on to the next step. I just want to show you this. This is a whole bag of new seals and O-rings, and looks like some spring rings. A whole bunch of stuff in here. You won't need all this, but the compressor came with it. It's probably for different cars, maybe. I don't know why they sent so many. You really don't need all that. That did come with it, so we'll end up using some of it, I'm sure, to replace the gaskets that were on the original. I totally forgot until just now that the compressor came with a bottle of the lubricating oil, or lubricant is just what it says. What I'm supposed to do is take about half of this bottle and pour it into the compressor, and then I'm supposed to take the other half of the bottle and put it in the top of the radiator part of it. And I should have did that before I put this hose on there. So we'll be taking that back apart and doing that. So before I put this on the, before I put this back on there though, I'll be pouring, yeah, I'll go right at half of the bottle. That's what it says to do, so. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, it's a little bit more than half. That's all right. I just wanted to show you guys something or explain it to you. I almost messed up here. I went to start putting the nut on there. I thought I had it in all the way, but I didn't, and something just didn't feel right, so I took it back off there. You should be able to push this down. I don't know if you can even see that. You should be able to push that down into the hole. See, there's no nut or anything on it. That's just where I pushed it by hand. So make sure you have it in there square and straight before, you should be able to get it like all the way down to touching before you put the nut on and start tightening it down. I just about messed up and would have bent the crap out of that. But that comes from experience. I went to tighten it and just something didn't feel right. And I was right, it wasn't in there correctly. So pay attention when you go put these lines back onto the compressor, that they need to be, you should be able to push it down into that hole just with your hands. All right, well, I got both. I'm trying to give you a view there. It's hard to get a camera. There's the two new lines put on there. They're tightened down. Like I said, you want to tighten those down pretty good. It's about as snug as you can get them. Okay, got that done. I got the 3, because the compressor's still loose. I don't have it tightened up. So I got 1, 2, 3. The one up there, you can't see it in the dark, but get those tightened up. I have one plug that goes on the compressor right above this hose right here. And oh yeah, dang it, I forgot about that. I've got to get this off of here. And I bet you I break it. How much y'all want to bet? Think I'm gonna break it? Huh. Kinda looks like there's a tab in there that I can push. Or not. I have no idea how to get that apart. Oh. Like that. And there was a little tab there, but I couldn't push it enough. I think it'll be all right. How was it? Was that on there like that? No, it was on there like that. So we'll take it over. And snap that back together. Oh, you can't see anything, can you? Just snapped it back together, and after I tighten the 13 mil down, we'll take the 10 mil nut off, put this on there, and then put the 10 mil nut back on. If that makes sense. Alright, let me get all these tightened up, put the plug on, and we'll go from there. Oh, I left the lower radiator hose off, and that made it so much easier to install these 2 lines up here on the compressor. I really wished I would just, if I didn't have to change the radiator, or if I wasn't changing the condensate radiator part out of it, I wouldn't have had to remove the lower radiator hose, and it is in the way. So if you got a way to drain your radiator fluid and save it in a clean bucket, moving that hose out of your way, that lower radiator hose, is going to make your life a lot simpler. So just FYI. All right, I took the hose back off the top one. We're going to pour the rest of this oil down in there. Oop, god dang it. I made a mess. It didn't drain like I wanted it to. Alright, well, I wasn't able to get the oil to go in there, so we're going to take this valve stem out. Ugh. We'll pour it in there. There it is. Maybe I can get it to go down in here now. At least if you get the rest of this in here, even if it's just in the hose, right? Be better than nothing. The air bubbles come out of it. Dang it. Come on, burp. Maybe not. No, it's not letting the air come back up for some reason. Try to leave the pressure off the other line. Did that help? I think that helped. Oh, that worked. I pushed the valve on the other side, on the other line, and it's letting the air out and letting the oil go down. Cool. All right, that worked out. Valve stem back in. All right, so in order to get the last of that oil in there, I took the valve stem out, which you have to use these valve stem remover to do it. And I pushed down on this valve to relieve the air pressure, and it was and it allowed the oil to go in. So we were able to get the whole bottle in. It's empty. Now we got to put a vacuum on it. Alrighty, we got it all put back together. Out of the oil in the lines. Got to put a vacuum on it and refill the Freon. Am I saying that right? Is it Freon? 134A, yeah. And she'll be good to go after that. Yeah.